You ever look at prices right now and just think something about this feels off? Like, yeah, things went up. But even when everything says it's getting better, nothing actually feels cheaper. Groceries, flights, everyday stuff. It's like prices jumped and then just stayed there. And the weird part is more and more people are starting to notice the same thing. So the question is, are prices really still high for the reasons we're being told, or is something else going on? When you look a little closer, the explanation doesn't fully add up. Food costs more, housing costs more, medicine costs more, and somehow we keep getting told it's just market conditions or supply issues or shortages. But the deeper question is this: how much of that scarcity is actually real, and how much of it is being built into the system? Because when prices keep rising while ordinary people keep getting squeezed, it starts to feel like scarcity isn't always natural. Sometimes it feels manufactured. Sometimes it feels profitable. And that brings us to one of the clearest examples of all: insulin. A drug that millions of people literally need to survive has been at the center of major lawsuits and accusations over inflated pricing. Now, big players in the healthcare system are being dragged into court over claims that insulin prices were pushed higher than they should have been. So, in today's story, we're breaking down the growing backlash against overpriced insulin, why regulators say the system may have been distorted, and what this case reveals about the bigger pattern behind why so many essential things keep getting more expensive. Take a look at this segment from WNBC News.
That the FTC is preparing to sue the three largest pharmacy benefit managers over insulin prices. Now, those three companies are United Health's Optum Rx, Cigna's Express Scripts, and CVS Health's Caremark. Now, remember, these companies manage prescription benefits, and the FTC just yesterday publishing the findings from their years-long investigation into the PBM practices. Now, the Wall Street Journal, citing a person familiar with the matter, saying that the suits will be in regards to rebates with these pharmaceutical manufacturers. Now, these rebates are discounts, essentially, that the PBMs negotiate with drug makers. And the FTC yesterday saying that they believe that these PBMs steer people towards drugs that might be more expensive, and that PBMs drive up costs. Now, of course, the companies in question denied those allegations, but we're going to stay on top of this and keep you up to date with what else we find out.
Now that right there is a perfect example of what happens when a product isn't optional. When people need something, not want it, need it, the normal rules of pricing start to disappear. And insulin isn't the only place we've seen this happen. Let's talk about something a lot of people experienced firsthand just a couple years ago. Remember the global chip shortage? Car companies, tech companies, everyone was saying the same thing: we can't get enough chips. Supply chain issues, production delays, and because of that, prices went up, way up. Cars that used to sell at MSRP were suddenly thousands of dollars more. Dealerships had waiting lists. Basic vehicles were being marketed like rare luxury items. But here's where it gets interesting. While consumers were being told there wasn't enough supply, many of these same companies were reporting record profits, not survival level profits, record-breaking profits. So the question becomes, if supply was truly that limited, how were margins increasing at the same time? And this is where the idea of perceived scarcity comes in. Because scarcity doesn't always have to be completely fake to be exploited. Sometimes there is a real disruption, but companies stretch that narrative they limit inventory releases, they control distribution, they hold pricing high even after costs stabilize. And consumers, they're still operating under the belief that supply is tight. So they accept the higher price. They rush to buy, they don't negotiate, they don't wait. Because they think if they don't get it now, they might not get it at all. And that psychology is powerful. You see it in housing markets. You see it in airline pricing. You see it in tech releases, even things like sneakers and limited drops. The perception of scarcity drives urgency, and urgency drives profit. But here's the part that people are starting to notice. In a lot of these cases, prices aren't coming back down, even after supply chains recover, even after production increases. The temporary price hike starts to look permanent, which raises a bigger question. Are these prices really tied to supply and demand anymore? Or are they being set based on what companies know people are willing to tolerate? And it's not just consumers asking that question. More and more financial experts are starting to look at the data, and they're noticing something doesn't quite add up. Take a look at this.
Neoliberalism has given full rein to the growth of market power in Australia, in the United States, in many countries around the world. And that market power meant that the companies took advantage of the situation where competition was reduced because supply chains were broken, competition was weaker when you can't get your inputs from other companies. And we've done careful studies to show that those sectors of the economy where there's more market power have had more inflation. We call it in the United States greedflation, and that's what it really is.
At this point, it's not just a feeling, it's a pattern. We've seen companies take advantage of necessity like insulin. We've seen supply chains used as an excuse. And now even financial experts are openly calling it what it is, greedflation. Prices go up and somehow they just don't come back down. And the craziest part, most people are just starting to notice. So the real question is, how much of what you're paying today is actually justified? And how much of it is just companies realizing they can charge more? Because once people accept a higher price, that becomes the new normal. If you found this interesting, or if this made you think a little differently about what's going on around you, make sure to hit subscribe and send this video to someone who's been saying, everything just feels more expensive lately, because there might be more to it than they think. This is just the beginning.